Chapter 4. Vengeance belongs to God. Deuteronomy 3:2-35 and Romans 12:19. It is mine to avenge, I will repay. In due time their foot will slip, their day of disaster is near, and their doom rushes upon them. Deuteronomy 3:2-35. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay. Says the Lord. 19. There is something deep in the human soul that craves justice, especially when we've been wronged. We have within us a deeply ingrained desire to get back at those who harm us, what is often called vengeance or retaliation. How is it that we are created in this way, so that the betrayal of a trusted friend, or the cruelty of a stranger, or the danger to the safety of a vulnerable child or adult, or the years of abuse that never got called out can create such a strong desire to retaliate? Everything inside of us wants to cry out, that's not right. It's not right. But the question is, what do we do with that? No other created being is as vulnerable as a human being from the time of birth. We are, however, created in the image and likeness of God. We can reason, invent, build, believe, imagine, perceive motives, and distinguish right from wrong. We can feel the sting of wrongs done to self and others as though they were done to us. At its best, some might say that the desire for retaliation comes from our conscience, which longs for both justice and mercy. When in judgment, too often this means justice for the mercy for us. We are capable of both justice and mercy. But when hurt, our vulnerability and anger can easily lead us toward retributive justice alone. Retaliation. Because we are created in the image and likeness of God, however, we are free to choose how we respond, far beyond the instinctual level of other mammals. So when we are wronged, the world has a clear answer: get even, make them pay. Get closure through confrontation, humiliation, and retaliation. Let your pain become your permission. Fight fire with fire at any cost. But Jesus offers a different path, one that's both harder and holier, but one that does leave us justified. In Deuteronomy 3:2-35, God makes a startling statement to his people. It is mine to avenge, I will repay. In due time their foot will slip, their day of disaster is near, and their doom rushes upon them. Later, Paul echoes this truth in his letter to the Romans, writing, do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. Notice what God doesn't say. He doesn't say vengeance, doesn't say justice won't happen. He says vengeance is his. He is the one who holds the scale. He's the one who sees all aspects perfectly. He is the one who knows the heart of every one of us. He is the one who repays fully, wisely, justly, and yes, mercifully. That's what makes this so hard. We want to make it right. Out of our vulnerability, we feel the suffering. We feel we have had control taken from us and we want it back. And now we want to control the consequences. We want the person who hurt us to know they hurt us and to feel the pain we felt. And if we're honest, we don't always trust God to do that job the way we want it done. But Paul says something radical. We are to leave room for God's wrath. Trust the wisdom of God to be far greater than our own. That means that when we fill the space with our own bitterness, our own schemes, our own need for revenge, there's no room left for God to work. Of things, we find ourselves acting no differently than the one who caused us the pain. Our clenched fists block his open hand. Our obsession with justice becomes its own kind of injustice. Letting go of vengeance isn't easy. It can feel like surrendering, like letting someone off the hook. It is surrendering, but to the wisdom of God. It is not giving up your desire for getting even altogether, not saying it's my fault or it doesn't really matter. Leaving room for God, letting go and letting God is the clearest path to freedom, the only offense. And it is not easy. God's path with justice may be quite different than our own. When we try to settle the score ourselves, we stay tethered to the offense. We rehearse the pain, rewrite the arguments, replay the injustice, feed our resentment. We may punish the other person in our imagination, but in reality, we're just re-wounding ourselves. Bitterness doesn't free you from the past. It shackles you to it. But God says, give it to me. He doesn't say that to silence you. He says it to save you. He is the God who sees, the God who knows every wound and every wrong. And he is not mocked. He is not blind. He is not indifferent. No evil will go unaccounted for. It just won't be you doing the accounting. When Paul writes those words in Romans 12, he's not writing from comfort. He's writing to people who are being persecuted, mocked, imprisoned, some killed. He's not saying let it go because it's no big deal. He's saying you can trust the God who holds eternity. And here's the paradox. The more we trust God to deal with injustice, the more we become people. Our hands are free to love. Our hearts are open to healing. We can live into the likeness of God as we were intended to be. We stop defining ourselves by the worst thing that happened to us and start defining ourselves by the best thing that happened to us. Jesus on the cross. On the cross, Jesus entered our pain. He knows betrayal, abandonment, surrender, forgiveness, injustice, and the pain of physical agony. Your suffering is not ignored, it is shared. There's something sacred about handing vengeance over to God. It's a declaration that you believe he's just. It's a surrender that says, I don't need to be the judge. I already have one, and he's good. That doesn't mean we don't speak truth. It doesn't mean we allow abuse or stay silent in the face of evil. It means we let justice run on God's timeline, not ours. We be called to testify, to advocate, to protect, but we are not called to be executioners. And no, surrendering vengeance doesn't mean you're saying what happened was okay. It means you're finally releasing your heart from the need to make it right yourself. You're stepping out of the courtroom and letting God take the bench. There's peace in that place. There's power in that surrender, and there's healing that can't come in any other way. How do we know this is true? Well, in both verses, the law God established from the beginning of creation is personified into God. Again, God is not a hypocrite. God does not tell us not to seek revenge. Then he does. No, we are all subject to the laws God established, and that law says we reap what we sow. We can take solace in knowing that, in the end, love wins and the truth prevails. Let that sink in, okay? Love wins and the truth. The law of reaping and sowing applies to us as well. It helps us to become better human beings, more like Christ. Each day we live this out. So ask yourself, what offenses are you still trying to avenge? Who lives rent-free in your head, replaying scenes of pain and payback? What part of you is still clenched in the fist of justice, refusing to open your hand? God sees it. He's not asking you to pretend it didn't happen. He's asking you to put it in his hands and let it go. You don't have to carry that weight. You don't have to balance the scales. He has already taken care of it. Maybe not the way you expect. But in the end, every wrong will face the light. Every act of cruelty, every betrayal, every wound. And you, if you release it to him, you'll be free and you'll become more like Jesus each day. It is mine to avenge, says the Lord. I will repay, and he will, and he will. You can count on it. Reaping and sowing is one of God's unchangeable laws, and if you watch and listen, you will see that it is already in play everywhere.